Hey guys, welcome back to this channel. My name is Ronnie. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. In today's video, I'm going to talk about mortgage product, interest only versus principal and interest. Which one is better off between the two? So this is coming from my own experience, guys. Taking that into an account, that I do this based on my own experience and what I've done so far in order for me to achieve my dream of financial freedom. So out of the two, if you're leveraging debt, like having a mortgage on a property, depending how you look at things. Okay, so if you're looking at to have buying I guess a mortgage or using leverage of debt to purchase a property, there are two different products that are bound to become in mind. One of them would be interest only repayment or principal and interest repayment. Now personally, I would go on principal and interest repayment due to a certain factor. So if you're doing interest only repayment, it's bound to be having a let's say a certain period where you can actually only do that. So usually within about 2 years, 12 months, or maybe 5 years, you can actually do an interest only repayment. Now some people, what they usually do is once you hit that 5 years, you're bound to probably refinance somewhere else to get another additional 5 years interest only repayment. And to me, that is a no-no, because you're effectively just transferring the debt from one debt to another debt. It's like having a credit card bill. Instead of using today a credit card, you're just transferring that same bill to B credit card. So it's not a good idea having just paying interest only repayment on that factor of it. So that's that one side. And then now for myself anyway, I try to minimize debt. I try to get out of debt as quickly as possible. So I paid principal and interest repayment. Now, why would I want to do interest only? To be honest with you, there's a few myths out there. One of them would be tax deductible, but that's great. At the end of the day, you still owe that whatever the amount is after 30 years, let's say. So why would you want to do that? Oh, and some people said, oh, that it's an investment property, so I don't want to pay the principal on that. That's just another silly way of looking at, hey, I've got a credit card bill of this amount, it's okay for me just to pay the interest component of it. So for me, it doesn't make any sense by having an interest only, but it's cheaper on the repayment. Yes, it's cheaper on the repayment. That's because you're borrowing too much of it. I try not to have any debt, so pay off that mortgage as quickly as possible is my way of thinking. Now, is it a good idea to change principal and interest? Interest only to principal and interest? I'll say yes, because that's what I did. In the condition that you believe in, you can pay this mortgage off. When you are discharging a mortgage or opening up a mortgage, especially in a short term anyway, within about 5 years or 10 years or 20, I say about 15 years or less, the winner, it's actually the bank. You're not the winner. So, because if you look at it this way, right? So, yes, the property goes up in value. When you did the math, that when you're paying the interest only, the bank is actually winning, because every week when you pay, they're still holding the capital of the mortgage. Let's say, here's an example. Let's say you're taking a loan of $500,000 for your property, to buy a investment property or property loan. Now, and then the weekly repayment is X. Let's say $200 or $500. That's as an argument, because I don't know what the interest rate is, and I figure out it's easier if I just do a round figure. And that's based on interest only. So that would mean If you keep on just paying the $500, that's only the interest component of the bill of the mortgage. So at the end of, let's say, you can keep on paying just interest only. Within 10 years, you still owe $500,000. Within 5 years, you still owe $500,000. Within 20 years, if you can get up to a long term of interest only, you still owe $500,000. Within 30 years, at the end of 30 years, you still owe $500,000. To me, that's not a good idea. Now, I don't know why people would choose this. Like for me, I would rather have within X amount of time, which is my exit strategy, I would have zero money owing to the bank. I would rather keep that property with no debt involved. That's just my way of thinking. Some people leverage that debt. Let's say your repayment is $500 every week. And then I guess some people, because this is the mindset that I had, right? I'll buy this on an interest only repayment in the condition that within the future it will go up in value. So let me explain that. So let's say you buy the property at $500,000. Your weekly repayment is $500 per week. You keep on paying $500. At the end of the interest repayment, let's say after 12 months, 2 years, 5 years, whatever the term is of the interest only repayment, because they usually give you only a buffer of a certain number of years, then you have to pay principal and interest. So some people is hoping that within that time frame, it changed into the value that you purchased them a lot more higher. So $500,000 you borrowed from the bank as a mortgage. You're paying $500 per week. Let's say 5 years times from today, that particular property goes up in value to, let's say, $800,000. So that would mean you had a capital gain of $300,000. That's the simple concept of it. At the end of that 5 years, let's say the bank decided, okay, then now you have to pay principal and interest. Now instead of $500, it becomes to let's say $800 per week. Now you, on the other hand, can't afford the $800 per week, so you decided to sell because your income hasn't increased $300 within that 5 years. Somehow you can't have the cash flow from it. And that's what I've seen every time I've seen a property that is on sale within less than 10 years or so. There's a lot of information that you can gather this, where you see when they purchased the property, when did they sell it, how much did they pay for it, and I kind of have an understanding of that aspect of it, and that's what I see. That's the reason why most people sell within about 5 years or less. Because they know that within a certain time frame, I gotta pay principal and interest, and I can't afford principal and interest. So to me, that's not a good idea if you're thinking of playing, I guess, the game of property investing using a leverage, debt leverage anyway. Because there's bound to be an expiry date when it comes to interest only repayment. So the concept of it, you buy at $500, you pay interest only for 5 years. At the end of 4th year, let's say, before the principal and interest repayment finish, then you sell the property with the hope, with the intention that you're going to have a profit when you sell it. Even if it's like $600,000 or $700,000, but most people only look at it in the short-term aspect of that, in terms of the big capital gain, let's say. But you don't get it. Every week you still have to pay $500 or $500. To me, that and when you calculate it, that repayment that you, I guess, paying, did you actually make that profit, or is it because did you calculate, you didn't add, if you calculate, let's say, your weekly repayment of whatever that would be after 5 years, did you actually get a gain, or is it a forced saving? Because sometimes it might be the other way around. When you think that you have a gain, but you actually have a forced saving, that would mean you didn't make any money. You just saved up $500 a week over whatever term that time frame is. So yeah, you gotta understand the calculation of it. Don't look at it and goes, oh, it's $500 a week. Yes, it's cheap. It's it's easy to manage because I'm earning X amount of dollars per week. Okay, that's what are you trying to achieve in that aspect? So interest only repayment for me is a big no-no due to that factor. I would rather have the other way around. Within 5 years, I've already polished X amount of dollars. Let's say instead of $500,000, start again. You borrowed at $500,000. At the end of 5 years, I expect you to have at least 400 and something outstanding. You know, if you sell it at 800, not only you have the 300,000, it's 300 and something profit if you decided to sell it within that 5 years. And then if you do it the whole entire term of the mortgage, which is up to the 30 years, you don't owe money to the bank anymore. Now that is a better lifestyle compared to if you have to pay the same 500,000 at the end of the 30 years. So yeah, life without a mortgage, it's much less stressful, easier to manage. You can sleep at night better. They give you opportunity to do whatever it is that you like, and that is how I looked at life now. Beforehand, I was trying to leverage that as much as I can, but now, no, minimize that as much as I can. Okay. Anyway, hopefully this information give you guys an understanding which product should you get if you decided to get a mortgage, principal and interest, or interest only repayment. Don't forget to subscribe, comment guys, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye.